My roommate and her did a little intervention, told me I needed to go see a doctor. I went to go see a doctor, and they told me I had epilepsy. The medication wasn't working. And then one day I talked to my doctor and said, there's got to be something. Did 2 surgeries. The final surgery they performed was the first time they had ever performed this surgery. The hope was to lessen the seizures. I was having sometimes 2, 3 a day. It's about overcoming things that you probably are going through that you think there's no way in hell you're ever going to be able to do.
By the way, because the hat theme seems to do well on Instagram, according to Matt, but I needed something unique, so this is like my brother's from his 20s when he did.
Is that a visor?
A visor.
A visor over headphones.
Well, I guess I'd take it off. All right, hold on. Let me do this.
Give me the Spurrier. Give me the Spurrier now.
Spurrier.
There we go. Look at that. It's better with the. I mean, this feels like this is going viral. What do you think?
I think you need to start calling some audibles or something out there.
Yeah. Oh man, the people don't. Does Lane Kiffin wear the visor now?
I don't know.
I mean, that would suck. Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, that seems like him. All right, so what do you get? Well, actually, yeah, this was the quote unquote hat that I grabbed.
Nice. Yeah.
The visor. Cowboy hat clips seem to do great. So
the Compton hats are burning up. They're burning up the airwaves too.
Yeah.
We should put links and try to get some affiliate traffic going with some of the hat wear. Yeah. I think that'd be great.
I'll get right on that.
All right, so we ready to go? We're ready to go. Shall we?
Yeah,
Shall
rolling.
we?
From ABM to PLG, from Medic to MedPick, the world of business is constantly evolving. We'll cover the who, what, where, when, why, and most importantly, how you get the transaction. I'm Matt Amundson, and he's Craig Rosenberg. Let's get started.
All right, so Matt, I meant to talk to you. Like, I was thinking, like, this year we mix up the intros and like we do. Do you want to do today? Kick today off?
Would I ever?
Uh-oh.
I knew you would. See, honestly, I was like, well, I didn't tell him that I get on. I'm like, but he'll be pretty excited to do it. So I'm gonna just try not to hit my desk so Sam doesn't have to cut it out. We'll go from there.
Yeah. So today we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend. There are so many great marketers that I've met over the course of my career, and literally there's this tie that binds all of them together, and that is Michael King, who has been in recruiting as long as I've been in the Valley and has placed some of the most successful marketers really up and down kind of the hierarchy chain over the course of the 15 years that I've been here. And I know he's been doing it since before I got here. And I can remember the first time just sort of meeting him. He was like at the Marketo office, and I was like, someday I'm going to work with that guy. Someday that's going to be me. But he's helped staff some of the most successful companies here in Silicon Valley and outside of the Valley, mostly in tech. He has always been a resource for me, and I know a lot of my peers, when people are thinking about what's next for them in their careers and what's the state of the market, he is just one heck of a guy. He lives in Seattle, but you might as well live here in Silicon Valley because every time I turn around, he's here. And he's having, he's doing something a little bit different now. He's releasing a book, and so, for all the wonderful things that he's done for me. Along the path, as well as for many of my peers. I wanted to have him on the show today, talk a little bit about recruiting, building great organizations, and kind of the state of the market, but also get an opportunity to learn a little bit about what you are releasing this April. So, ladies and gentlemen, listeners of The Transaction, welcome Michael King.
Wow. I mean, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a really good intro.
Jeez.
Can we just bring the elephant out in the room here?
Which
just
is?
tell us the book. Let's not like let's just get release date, all that's oh wow. Okay. That's a great book cover. My God.
Yeah.
Well, I found
Hold on,
this.
let Sam jump in and say currently the guest is presenting the book cover for those listening.
That was one time.
Tell us about the book real quick. Let's just get that out of the way real quick because I think that's awesome, man. You should be so proud of yourself.
Well, out of the urging of my wife in 2020, she told me to tell my story. I haven't shared it with really anybody. So I grew up in San Francisco, moved to LA in '91 out of nowhere, watching a Final Four NCAA basketball championship game with my roommate and two buddies. We'll just say I started acting out of character. A woman who I just started dating, at the time I was bartending at the Hard Rock in LA, and that's where I met a lot of my female friends, we'll say. So met her, and I describe in the book how we met, which was a very interesting way. But we just started dating, and we went out a couple times and told me, like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? I had no clue what she was talking about. My roommate and her did a little intervention, told me I needed to go see a doctor, that I was acting out of character. Of course, I was in denial. I didn't believe them. Finally, I went to go see a doctor, then a neurologist, did a bunch of tests, and they told me I had epilepsy. Wow. Which was shocking. I thought it wasn't the epilepsy grand mals. So what I had were, I would clap my hands and make weird noises. So if someone saw it, they probably thought I was crazy or on drugs. So it's called complex partial seizures. So it's just, you react, you could flap your lips, you could clap, you could do anything. And you're out of it for 10, 15 seconds, maybe another 10 seconds to come back, but you have no idea what just happened. So I went through 5 years, we'll just say, of hell, of trying to control this.
Sure.
I was the darkest of darkest, a lot of why me, what did I do to get this happen to me, hopelessness, all those things. And then one day I talked to my doctor at Cedars and said, there's got to be something. The medication wasn't working. There's got to be something. And so I did all the tests at UCLA to see if I was a candidate for surgery. Did 2 surgeries. The final surgery they performed was the first time they had ever performed this surgery. And the hope was to lessen the seizures. I was having sometimes 2, 3 a day of just doing that randomly. So the surgery was the end of '98. The beginning of '99, when I got home, I had a couple seizures, which was scary because they were completely different. I was doing completely different things. And I was thinking, great, now I had surgery, and now I'm doing something completely different. But then they lessened, and then they stopped, and knock on wood, I haven't had a seizure since 1999.
Wow.
Holy moly.
I kept it to myself. The urging of my wife told me to share. And then, I was a bartender. She was working at the Cheesecake. We wanted kids. The doctor said you could have kids. Boom, she got pregnant right away. And we were like, oh, shit. We both are working at night. How do we have a kid? Yeah. And, my dad always said, go get your degree. I went to St. Mary's, got my business degree. But, I was in LA. I was trying to be an actor. I was writing scripts. I was just trying to do anything. But I knew I had to get a daytime job. I had always been a bartender. I had no clue what I wanted to do. Yeah. I'm a golfer. I've been playing golf since 10 years old. And when I was at the Hard Rock, there was 4 of us who used to play golf all the time. And over the years, we lost contact. And then one day I was with another buddy, went up to Griffin Park in LA to go play golf.
Sure.
Walked in, checked in, was walking out, and this door started open. So being the nice guy, I opened the door, and 2 guys walked in. The last guy walked in was a fellow bartender from the Hard Rock who I hadn't seen in years. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dude, what's up? What have you been doing? You still bartending? He goes, no, I'm a recruiter. At the time, I had no idea. I go, for the Army, the Navy, the what? A recruiter?
Yeah.
I don't know what. And he goes, yeah, no. Those 2 guys, it's a little company in Santa Monica. They go find the clients, and me and another guy, we find the candidates, and we put them in companies in Silicon Valley. All right. After surgery and really not working a lot, I was so far in debt. It was crazy. with all the brain surgeries and all that.
Yeah,
I just need to
sure.
make money. And so
Yeah.
I was like, you making any money? He goes, I'm going to make $100,000 this year. And I was like, oh shit. Fast forward 3 months later, I started working there. So the first half of the book is the epilepsy journey. The second half
Yeah.
is how this random person I met who I hadn't seen in years, I jumped into the recruiting. So I take you from the craziness of joining in the end of it, 98, 99, to the dot bomb blowing up, to moving to Seattle, then all the ups and downs, but also with the backstory of, will I have another seizure?
Yeah.
And some risky things I did during that time that I never told my wife, and she almost killed me when she found out. And just some great fun stories of, I'll just share success factors. I'm sure you're all familiar
Oh, yeah.
with.
Yeah, of
I mean,
course.
I worked with them. They didn't even have an office yet. That's how I met Rob Bernstein. He was at Siebel. He was a senior product marketing guy. First time I reached out, trying to put him somewhere in 03, and we just hit it off. And then he let me know in 04. He goes, yeah, I'm going to this company called Success Factors. I'm like, oh. Now I started typing. He goes, no. I go, what? He goes, don't look at the website. It's terrible. I was like, all right. And then literally it was like days later, a product manager who I had tried to put at a company called Calidus, and his name was Randy Reynolds.
Yeah.
And then Randy reached out and he said, hey, I just want to give you an update. I'm like, cool, what's going on? He goes, oh man, I'm just the first product management hire at this little startup. We don't even have an office. I'm like, cool, what's the name? He goes, Success Factors. I'm like, what the hell? I go, Bernstein.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. So they introduced me to the CFO at the time that was doing recruiting, and his name's Roger Goulard. If you've never heard of him, he's the magic touch guy. So I met him back in 2000 at Broadvision. He's VP Biz Dev Alliance guy. So he left that company and went to a little software company in the early 2000s you've maybe heard of, Salesforce. He was the first VP Biz Dev there. So I was working on a director of Biz Dev Alliances for this company, Success Factors, and I'm like, that guy's going to know a good director.
Yeah.
So I set up some time to chat, and we were just catching up, and I said, hey, I need to pick your brain, man. Do you know anybody for this? And he goes, what's the company? I go, Success Factors. He goes, oh. I'm like, what do you mean, oh? You've heard of them? And he goes, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. And then he goes, I know somebody. And so I got my pen ready. I'm like, okay, who? He goes, me. I'm like, what? I go, dude, you're a VP. He goes, well, do you want to do the intro or do you want me to? I go, really? He goes, yeah. Boom, introduced him. They made him the VP. And after that, talking about a glorious career. So he went Success Factors all the way through the IPO. They got acquired. And then he jumped over to Okta. Little, super, super small still, like first guy. Went there for a couple years. And then Rob Bernstein had went to Coupa as their CEO, first-time CEO in 09, then brought Roger over there super early. And in 2021, Coupa stock was $360 a share.
Yeah.
And then Roger more or less retired. So he had, just the timing, in which, we all know you join these little startups, you have no idea, but man, that guy's got, from Salesforce, Success Factors, Okta, Coupa, and earlier at Broadvision, which was a hot company in the late 90s.
Sure.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So I just tell those kind of, fun stories.
Unbelievable.
Silicon Valley. So there's lots of fun stories of that. And of course, this is my fourth downturn. So, you deal with the downturns and you think, are they ever going to come back? And then the pandemic, like, oh shit, what's going to happen with the pandemic? And my biggest thing was, as you said, Matt, all my companies have always been in Silicon Valley. There's no need for me to know anybody outside Silicon Valley because you had to go into an office.
Yeah.
And so towards late 2020, when companies were hiring again, they'd reach out and said, okay, we want to re-engage on that search. I'm like, okay. He goes, we've been talking. We're not in an office. We're all virtual. We want to start looking for people outside the Bay Area because they're cheaper.
Yeah.
And they're like, now you just know people inside the Bay Area. I'm like, oh no, yeah, sure. I know people. I had no people. I knew nobody. And I'm like, sure.
Yeah, I got this Boise talent pool for you. No problem.
Holy holy shit. So yeah. So I just had to jump and start, networking with all people outside the Bay Area. So that was the biggest
Yeah.
hurdle,
Yeah.
But then like 2021 was by far the craziest, busiest year
Yeah.
ever. I mean, it was, and that's why we are where we are right now
Yeah.
is everybody was just hiring like crazy, not thinking that, wow, yes, we got 50 million and we just hired all these people, but the product's not moving. People aren't buying it. Boom, layoffs. Now all these people, were looking that got crazy titles. So many people
Yeah.
I spoke with that, I look at their background, their VP of, say, product marketing, demand gen, and their previous role was a director at a company I'd never heard of.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so what are we looking for? And, oh, VP, I got to keep a VP. What's the comp? And they'll throw out a crazy number. And I'm thinking, that ain't happening. But
Yeah.
But now they're competing with A players, and they they're really struggling because in 2021 companies couldn't be picky. Now, God, they're all looking for the unicorn. They're like, yeah, let's just keep waiting. More people are going to get laid off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
So,
what a ride it's been. What a ride it's been.
Yeah, that's I mean that sounds like, I mean, honestly, I was gripped just listening to the story.
That's the people that have people have read the manuscript, like you see all the quotes on my website and I've shared, and those people have read it, and it's all been, I mean, I'm very blessed. Like I don't know if you guys follow comedy, but George Wallace, the comedian George Wallace.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so George, very well-known comedian. He was Jerry Seinfeld's best man at his wedding. He's best friends with Jerry. George was the best man at my wedding. And so we met. Yeah, so we met when I moved.
How did that just happen? I don't. Wait, hold on a sec. So we went.
Yeah. Let's pull back here.
Exploratory, experimental surgery, incredible career, Octa success factor, George Wallace, best man at wedding. What just happened? That is amazing.
Hey, how long do you want this podcast to go, man? I got tons of stories. No, I met him when I moved to LA. I had to go take a class. I had to take a commercial class. I walked in, sat next to this guy. We just started chatting. He said he was a comedian. There was his name's Craig Shoemaker. He's another comedian that's very well known out there. He was in our class. And they're all everyone's getting started. And he's like, yeah, I'm a comedian. I'm like, okay, cool. And then one day he said, hey, you want to run around with me? I'm going to the Improv, the Comedy Store. I'm like, sure. And then, I'm meeting all these other comedians, and he gets on stage. I'm like, God damn, he's good. And then all of a sudden he goes on the Tonight Show and just became close friends. And so when I decided my wife and I were going to get married in Vegas, when we were there, I'm like, okay, there's only one person, because when I was in the hospital, he was somebody, his timing was impeccable. When I was at the lowest of lows, all of a sudden there'd be a knock on the door and, hey, MK, and I'd look and it's him. And I'm like, oh, perfect timing.
Wow.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. So you've got a million stories. I will do this one for you.
I was going to say, we haven't even touched about my stories working at the Hard Rock in LA. That's like another 3-hour podcast.
Well, we might start another podcast just to talk about those. So I'm just jumping in because this is the Matt feature enhancement 2.1 of the transaction.
Thank you.
So can you, with the million stories, we asked the guests, give us an amazing go-to-market story. It could be sales, marketing, etc. It could be funny. It could be heroic. It could be whatever. But we just want to lead with one of your favorite go-to-market stories. So I can imagine, based on the conversation we just had, you're gonna have to go into the data bank and think about the million you've got. But let's start there.
Well, I would have to say, if you want to call this the one of the greatest branding or getting recognition of a company, was Miss Maria.
Ooh, I love that.
Pergolin. So Maria at Aptus.
Nice.
I will
keep it in the fan.
Yes, here we go. That's my girl.
I met Maria in 2009 when John hired as a consultant. He and I were hanging out at the Marketo booth. He introduced me to this cute little blonde that's a consultant, and she's going to do this, and it was Maria. And then we just became close friends. And then at Aptus, I remember one night being at the bar across the street and hanging out there, and I look on the side of Moscone, and there's the Aptus sign coming from a projector from the window. And I'm like, holy shit, that is like beautiful. And of course, it got found out and she had to take it down, but just the stuff that they did, giving away Tesla. I mean, just the things they did and she did to come up with just getting that name out there. And every time and every year I'd go to Dreamforce, I'm like, what the hell is she going to do this year?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That is right. I mean, she cornered Dreamforce.
Oh, yeah.
She got the 4 corners of Dreamforce. She put Aptus there. Yep. So I think she got the Oasis, the Fogo de Chao, like everything so that you could not miss them.
Yep.
And the Tesla was amazing.
Yeah, I think she was one of the first people to go, hold on, why don't we put something outside so people don't just hang inside Dreamforce and they can come and hang with us. And you're seeing that more and more. And I used to have conversations with executives that would do the offsite. Like one of my buddies was a CEO and he did an offsite at a bar. This is when they did the free expo passes. So you had the free expo pass and you could see the keynote and the expo for free. And then you could sign up for these parties and you could go to the parties. You just had to have an expo pass. Yeah. And so this one party I went to with this CEO, it was just packed in there, line out the door. So I'm in there with him. He's like, what do you think? And I'm looking around going, no one's your potential customer. I said, these are all freebies. I said, dude, if we were going to college, at USF, say, all our buddies would be signing up for free expo passes, and this is all free drinks and alcohol. I said, you need to target more and just to potential customers, not just to anybody. And he was like, and then now you're starting to see that. You go and you see a happy hour and you register, and then they check you out, and it's either you get the invite or they go, oh yeah, we're over capacity, sorry.
Sure.
Because why would you want it filled with people eating your food and drinking everything, and they're not even in the furthest way a potential customer.
Yeah.
By the way, Michael, did you ever go to Matt Amundson and Jim Walker's massive beach party in Vegas during the Marketo show? What year was that, Matt?
2016, I think.
Oh, was that the Will Smith party?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God, yes. That was oh God, that was a must.
Oh my Lord, yeah. I mean, because you learned a lot from Maria, and then these guys all sort of came out with this go big or go home approach to events, and Matt and team. That party was insane. Everyone remember that was the talk. That was what everyone remembered from the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll link that. We got to link that up in the show notes because there is like a 2.5 minute video of that party on YouTube. So we'll throw that down. But you gotta shout out Jessica Cross, Stephanie Searle, all kinds of people played just such a massive role in putting that thing together. And I will say my favorite part of that party, just if you'll allow me a second here, one of our most vicious competitors was up in the room shooting from down. It was before the party started, and took a photo of the area where the party was going to be, and it was and the tweet was oh, it doesn't look like very many people are at the Everstring party. And within an hour or so, I think we had about 3,500 people come to that party. It was it was pretty amazing.
It was like a nightclub. You show up a little later, and then I was behind with a bunch of people behind Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff when they were doing stuff, and I was just going, brilliant. This is brilliant.
Yeah. But they didn't plan that.
No, we just we hired DJ Jazzy Jeff to perform, knowing that Will Smith was the keynote of the Marketo conference that year.
Right. And
we had floated out a rumor sort of out there that they would perform together, not knowing that they were going to perform together at all. And Will had actually done this kind of awkward performance during the Marketo keynote that he was doing. And it didn't really land. And so just by pure happenstance and serendipity, he like pinged Jeff and he was like, "Hey, I heard you're performing. Can I come and perform with you?" This was the first time they had performed live in 20 years. And actually the party made the front page of USA Today. And if you remember back in those days, you'd be staying at a hotel and they'd drop the USA Today out on in front of your door. And so I woke up the next morning and there it was. It was pretty awesome.
I mean, that was the talk for days, weeks, and months later. That's all anybody talked about.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That was brilliant.
That was a lot of
fun. Brilliant.
I love that mention on Maria and the Aptus plays that she used to run. That is like a perfect. I mean, all of us remember it, but I'm just glad we can immortalize it so I can send it to everyone so they know how aggressive of a marketer she is, and it's just incredible.
Well, then you see people now, trying to do the same thing. They're all just like anything. She was the first one, and then people probably said, "What the hell is she doing? That's not going to work." And then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh shit, we got to do that." Now everyone's doing it.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So now that we've enjoyed ourselves thoroughly, shall we transition into some the big question?
Ooh, the hard-hitting questions. Here we go.
Oh, geez. Go on.
Well, the big one that guides the show is it's really simple, but it's like our, when Matt and I started the show, this was about like, the changing playbook and go-to-market approach. And like, we want to talk to guys like you and figure out kind of what they're seeing out there. So the way we ask the question is, what is it that the market thinks they're doing right? It could be anything, hiring in your case, approach, methodology, tactics, and they're actually wrong. What are those things and what should they be doing differently? So I lay that on to you and let's go from there.
No, I mean, you mentioned the hiring. That's my biggest pet peeve. And I'm still blown away that it continues to happen is, again, we're talking smaller companies, seed A, Bs, even some Cs, even there's bigger companies ready for an IPO. They just hire the wrong person. I mean, to me, it's so blaring and it's like, that is not the right person. Or you have CEOs at these small companies, and I had a conversation with the VP at one of those type of companies. He gets hired from the CEO, and yes, Series A, yes, you can hire a contractor. He gets in there, VP of marketing. He'd been a VP of marketing before over a small company. Day one, the CEO starts laying out the strategy that he wants him to execute. And he calls me up. He said, I don't know why he hired me. He's the CMO. He's the head of marketing. I'm just running errands now for him. Mm-hmm. And then they don't work. I mean, that's one is just, and then the other huge problem is these companies fall in love with a brand for some reason. I mean, I had somebody that joined the Series B, had never worked, never at a small company, pinged me and said, hey, I need a head of product marketing, head of demand gen. And I'm like, look at you. He goes, well, I wanted to give it a try. And I'm like, well, I hope you didn't tell the CEO or the board member that. I mean, you want to give it a try. Boom. 8 months later, they left, went back to another big publicly traded software company. But, the CEO put out a press release. Oh, we just hired so-and-so and all. Big company. I'm thinking, why and what made you think that was the person to come in and with a 4-person company? Yeah. And I mean, the first question, if I'm a CEO at an A and I'm talking to somebody and our revenue's like 3, 5, and we want to try to get to 10 soon, the first question is, tell me how you took a company from single to double digits in ARR. First question. If you go, well, I've never done it, I go, okay, next, thank you, bye. Not, wow, you took XYZ software to 100 million in public. It's like, okay, I probably need you 7 years from now. I don't need you now. But no, they hire that person and it blows up. And then it derails that company. When you have somebody in the wrong position for a year, you're done. But then I see the same thing happen with companies that are positioned to have an IPO and they're looking for a CMO and they hire somebody that's not the right person. Here's a perfect example. You guys remember ServiceMax?
Of course.
Yeah.
Stacy Epstein was the CMO.
Yeah, Epstein.
Okay. So here's another. You remember the name Dave Yarnold?
Yes.
Dave Yarnold.
I worked with his daughter Rachel.
Oh yes.
What?
Rachel's
fun fact.
Yeah. So I got a bigger. So Craig, you'll love this being a Bay Area guy. So Dave and I went to junior high together.
Nice.
Oh, geez. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So when Stacy moved on, he pinged me, goes, all right, I need a CMO. And I'm like, okay, what are we looking for? And they were going to have an IPO. That was the goal. He goes, has to have taken a company public, and just went down through all the things they needed.
Yeah.
And that's who he hired. He hired a guy named David Milam from me, who had taken Five9 public and other companies. Boom. And why would I call somebody else and even put them in front of them if they had never taken a company public? But I see these other companies hire people, and I look at their background and went, what? Why is that the person? And then 8 months later, they're gone.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good one. Can I just, in my own self-interest in working with Series A, tell me what else, what should we be looking for in terms of marketing leadership at that sort of stage in the life cycle?
Well, to me, first, I mean, I just finished up one and hopefully finish up another. I'm only talking to people that have done it, that have been at Series A, because this one CEO goes, well, I have somebody that's really good. And I said, so tell me their background. Let me see, and gave me their LinkedIn. And I'm looking at it and I go, have they been an IC? That doesn't look like it. You said there's one person there. Well, no, but they said they're hands-on, but they're from the space.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, don't go down that path. I mean, everyone's going to tell you they're hands-on. They're all hands-on.
Right.
But once they get in there, then they're like, oh, I need this and this. I need this and this. And then what happens?
Yeah. Do you think that CEOs over-rotate too much towards like domain expertise? Is having been in that situation more valuable than like necessarily having a lot of expertise in the space?
I'll just tell you, they're clueless. A lot of them, they have no idea what they want. I don't know who they're listening to. Or they listen to a board member or a so-called advisor.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they're just going blindly. It's like, well, an advisor said I need product marketing background. They bring in the wrong person because that's not what they need. Oh, I need a demand gen. No, you don't need that right now.
Yeah.
And that's my first key, is, do you know what you want?
Yeah.
And I have some people that will say, I need a product marketer.
Sure.
And I'm like, tell me more. Tell me more. And they know. They go, we don't need leads. We need messaging, positioning, sales. I'm like, perfect. But it's the ones who I speak with have no clue.
Yeah.
They're flying by the seat of their pants. I was told we need this. I was told we need this.
Yeah.
And then it blows up.
Yeah, of course. But do you hire based on their background? So you said like they know they need product marketing. But like if you're hiring a head of marketing or a VP at that level or a CMO, like when should you hire a CMO, you think?
Well, first of all, what's the definition of what's the difference between a CMO and a VP of marketing at a Series A or B?
$50,000.
Well, I mean, it depends. If someone's working, again, if they're at the same kind of company, if they're at a Series A and they were there for a year, and that's what I'm looking for, someone that has just been there.
Yeah.
But again, I don't want them at a big company with a team of 5 or 6. So, I mean, Matt knows I've written about this, and I'm huge about this. Is for success in your career, you chase companies. You do not chase titles. You do not chase money. You chase companies.
Yeah.
I've had, and here's a perfect example, DocuSign. Years ago, early DocuSign. A buddy, Michael Lundgren, was the VP of product marketing at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I've known him, 2000, I think we first met, forever. And so he goes, hey, I need a senior director of product marketing in my team, but here's the thing, I'm going to move to a different role. So this person's going to take over mine and be a VP. I'm like, perfect. So I'm talking to people that have been VPs of product marketing and tell them and they're like, well, why would I take a senior director? I'm a VP now. I'm like, no. Yes, that's the title going in, but Michael's transitioning out to a new role, and this will be the VP. And all these people were like, no, because that's all they heard. It's like, well, how can I do that? So there's a guy named Miles Kelly, amazing guy who I'd known forever. Pinged him, and he'd been a VP for the last few years of marketing. And I said, here's a role. You got to look at it. And I said, don't worry about the title, but the title's going to be VP of product marketing within a year. He went through, boom, got it, started as senior director, product marketing, became VP of product marketing. You go to his LinkedIn, it has his name, it says VP of product marketing. And that's what I tell people. I go, listen, the only title you worry about is the title coming out, not going in.
That's
but people don't, a lot of people don't think that way. Even with CMO title people, I'm like, oh, I got this hot startup. Well, the title's got to be CMO. I'm like, no. Okay, listen to me. Here's the product. Here's the funding. Who cares what they call you? If the company, you kill it, a year from now, they'll give you the CMO. But don't hold that as something that you need to have when you're looking at an opportunity. If it's a great company, who cares what they call you? Just go in and kill it, and then whatever, 4 or 5 years, you're going to be sitting back and it's an IPO and you're whatever CMO by then. But I don't know if I've always thought maybe it's LinkedIn. Maybe people are going, wow, that's how they're going to look at my profile. People are going to think I took a less job, or on the money, chasing the money. Yeah, it's the Bay Area, and people go, wow, I need this and I need this but if you go chase shitty companies and get the money, good luck getting that next job, because people are going to go, why the hell did you go? And if they know it's a shitty company, why did you go to that shitty company? I had a guy, senior director of product marketing, was killing it at this company, and the company was growing. And he pings me, goes, hey, I just want to let you know I took a VP of marketing. I really want to be a VP of marketing at this company. Honestly, piece of shit company. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, really? He goes, well, I'm a VP title. And so 8 months later, he's on the market. Yeah. And then he goes, I go, this is the question every person's going to ask you. And how are you going to answer it? They're going to go, wow, why did you leave that to go to that? What are you going to tell them? If you say for the title, they're never going to hire you, because as soon as someone comes around with a VP title or a different title, that would get you going, and that's what's going to make you leave. Yep. But he wasn't thinking that. He would have stayed there. He would have been a VP, and the company was amazing. But he, again, was chasing titles, and I gotta be a CMO or a VP by the time I'm 35 or what. I'm like, so I don't know if it's that, or if it's like, Fortune and Forbes 30 under 30, people think, oh wow, I gotta accomplish all this stuff, or I'm a loser. And I'm like, get over it, man. Don't look at that shit.
That's right.
That's amazing. I've actually come to where you are right there, Michael, but I used to give advice to not take a step back with marketers, just because it feels like everyone's always looking for a way to discount or shoot holes in the marketer. So I said, don't go backwards. And then what I saw was what you brought up, which is then you made bad company decisions, and that doesn't help anybody. The other thing I've learned is, like, if you're at a good company, run that thing until it runs its course, man, because like the example you just gave totally resonated, where people are like, well, I got to get out because I got to go. The reason you'd leave is because let's say you're a builder and they're too big now. Okay. That means that you will wake up every day happy. That's good. But if you're going for what you said, chasing title, money, etc., those are the wrong reasons to do that. And like, if you stay long enough at a company, like if you stayed at Salesforce over that period of time, you weren't one of those folks that jumped ship to take a shot. Now, a bunch of people did jump and make really great decisions, but there's a ton that didn't. Those folks end up with, you move up. Like if you're good, you kill it, you're moving up, and you're leaving there with a much greater title and probably board seats and everything else that goes with it. So it took me a while to come to where you are on that advice. I should have done this podcast with you earlier, man. Or Doug D.
I mean, the other thing Matt knows that I scream from the top of the mountain is, if you go to a good company, you will never look for a job again. I mean, a couple examples is when Marketo got acquired by Vista, and they started moving everything to Denver. I'd get called by companies all the time going, hey, do you know any Marketo people? I heard there's a bunch on the street. Yeah. It wasn't and there were good people. There were probably some not great people there, but they had that brand, and so companies grabbed them because they worked at Marketo.
Yeah.
And another current one is, Russell, that was at Aptus and
Oh
Gone.
yeah.
I mean, I put Russell. Udi called me in 2019, had heard about me. We didn't never met him, and he told me he needed his first superstar demand gen person, and it was the same. Maria's almost like my farm system.
Sure.
Anybody she hires, I'm like, I'm keeping track of that
Oh,
person.
for sure. Yeah.
And she said he was great, and I just kept waiting, and then boom, here it came. I go, we need to talk.
Yeah.
And I put him in there, and he was just killing it. And then last year, Udi made him VP marketing and put an announcement, and I put on LinkedIn. I go, there you go. There
Yep.
is the example I've been yelling about. I said, he goes to a company, he kills it. Now he's a VP. I go, now he's the CMO at a company that's got a shitload of funding.
Yeah, Cresta, yeah.
Cresta got a shitload, and he's the CMO.
Yeah.
And people ping me about that. They go, so how did he get that? Well, I mean, also, it helps. He did an amazing job, and then the CRO is from Gong and thinks he's amazing. So he's like, dude,
Yep.
you got to join us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he will never look for a job. He doesn't even need a
No.
resume anymore. People just go, can you come over here and do what you did at Gong? Sure.
Yeah.
But if you've worked at shitty companies, people are like, I've never heard of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Russ is amazing. He is
Yes.
amazing. Great,
No.
a great person too. Not
Oh.
just a great marketer, just such a great person.
No.
That makes total sense. The if you're on the CMO, like, so the recruit, not the recruiter or the recruitee, what about on their side? So like, does it, like, do you tell them, like, make sure you can have a good relationship with the CRO, the like, because a bunch of CMOs tell me now, well, it's the founder. I have to make sure that I can work with the, So what kind of
No.
advice do you
God.
give there?
Yes, it's the other analogy I've used forever, and I think I mentioned it maybe to you guys, is the horse track. You go into the horse track. Who do you bet on, the horse or the jockey? There's plenty of companies out there that don't have great jockeys, and we'll call them CEOs. No, there's people that have senior directors that tell me, oh, I'm joining XYZ software with Debbie, the CMO, because we've worked together before, and I've had that happen in the past. And I'll ping the person. I go, what'd you think of the CEO? And they go, well, I really didn't meet him, but seems good. I go, are you aware that she's the third CMO in 3 years? They're shocked. They go, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's great that you know this person, but the person is running the show as the CEO. So the reason they're joining a company is who's running the show. And I had painful conversations again back, like Rob Bernstein. He had me work on his first VP marketing search at Coupa. And I'm talking to people, and they were like, I don't know about this product and this and that. I'm like, you're looking at the wrong thing. I go, the reason I joined this company is because the CEO. Okay, forget all the other stuff. And I had one person that he really liked. She just couldn't get her arms around the product, and she said no. And then when they took off and they had their IPO, I get a text from her. She goes, I should have listened. I'm like, that's why you join a company. It's because of that person. And and I said, when I met him in '03, I said, this dude is amazing. I got to follow him. And we just, I'm sure you can see all my memorabilia, but he is, if you do some Googling, Rob Bernstein is like one of the #1 baseball card collectors
Oh, nice.
in the world.
No way.
Holy shit. The stuff he has would blow your, because I remember I was telling him, I got this, and the back behind me is a Niners ball from 1970, the Montana. I got a baseball there from the Oakland A's whole team when they won the World Series in '73. I mean, a bunch of stuff. And then he starts rattling off his, Ty Cobbs and Babe Ruth, and I'm like, holy shit, that's another level. That's another level.
That's amazing.
Well, Mike, what's I know last year was kind of Armageddon. What's the state of the market like today? How would you describe things?
Let's say it's starting off as 2.0, 2. What I'm still I got 3 today. Laid off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's happening is and and I see all this stuff on LinkedIn is sales coaches, teaching people how to sell better and try this and
Yep.
try. At the end of the day, if you're a sales rep at a nice to have product, good luck.
Yeah.
No one's buying that shit. You could try
Right.
every little, go on social media and like, hey Bob, I'm a Niners fan too. Good luck. They're not buying that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just that's the thing. So all these companies that have products and people, unless it's a must-have, I'm not buying right now. I'm getting through this.
Yeah.
And then, on the hiring side, I talked to a lot of CMOs after right around Christmas. Hey, what's Q1 looking like? And said lean.
Yeah.
You got the AI piece, which is eliminating my head count. Do I need a team of 10? No. The offshore's hurting too, because I have a head of demand gen search, and the CMO said this person has a head count of 2 Bay Area. I'm like, okay. He goes, but they can have 8 in India if they want. Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, and the offshore people are getting better and better and better and better. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't-
speaking of AI, is that starting to become, are you starting to see that as a job requirement? Just
Oh, God,
being
yes.
adept with AI tools? Yeah.
Yep. One CMO, that's the first thing he said. Head of demand gen, they have to be AI literate. These are all the AI tools we're using. They have to be literate AI. That's
Oh,
it.
wow. Yeah. That's a real change.
Yeah, it's just, I think a lot of just standby. Just a
Yep.
lot of, let's kind of keep moving forward, getting through uncertainty. Again, 2021 was the complete opposite. It's like spend,
Sure.
spend, spend.
Yep.
I had a company, they got 210 million in one calendar year. They were just hiring, and I'm like, the revenue doesn't support this, man. But
Yeah.
I mean, they're sending me huge checks, and I'm going to say no? And then all of a
No.
sudden, 8 months later, they lay them all off, and they got sold for nothing. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but that's how it was. It was grow, grow, grow. Don't think about anything. And I had been through this plenty of times, and it don't last. And we saw
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a lot of optimism now. I mean, I think there's obviously there's been a change for good, bad, or indifferent, however you feel about what's going on in DC.
Right.
I think people are optimistic that the market's going to turn around. I, for one, have a bunch of open job recs, so I feel good.
Good.
Come work for me at Duplo Cloud. But before we put a pin in this, I just want to reiterate again. Hey,
Jesus. Man.
Everybody needs to go by Michael's website. It's michaeltking.com. Correct, Mike?
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
And I'll be at the book comes out on the 29th, and I'll be at Book Passage in the Ferry Building May 10th. May 10th, 3 p.m. It would be cool if I could get a ton of people there. That would be so cool.
Well, I'll be
don't know.
there.
I think it's one of those, they'll say, yeah, we usually get 20, 30 people. I would, oh God, because, again, I was born and raised there. So, I'll hit up all my buddies, friends, relatives. It's just, just have a big party.
Yeah,
That's great,
for sure.
man. That's such a cool thing. I love it.
So the book is Be There When I Return. You can go buy it on michaeltking.com. You can get an autographed copy. That's what I did.
You're a smart man.
I got to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to do that.
But then you can also, other people, if you want to support local bookstores, all the links are on there if you prefer to buy on Amazon. Of course, anybody that buys it through me is, reviews on Amazon will help promote the book. Because my goal is for 2025 to be the year of epilepsy awareness. What happens with that? It's sad. I've had hundreds of people reach out to me of sharing their story.
Sure.
And just shocking that I'm like, I'll just share one quick story that will blow your mind. I went to the dentist on Monday. It's a new dentist. It's the second time I was there. And I decided just with my business cards just to put the back of my website on it. And so I just checked in and I'm like, oh, what the hell? I'm going to try it. And so I said, oh, do you like reading books? And she's like, yes, I do. She goes, well, I'm really busy. I have a 4-year-old and we got a bunch of stuff going on. I said, of course. So I gave her the card. She looked at it. She goes, oh, what's it about? I go, it's about a medical journey I had and plus career. And she goes, oh, she goes, oh, that might be timely. I'm like, well, why? She goes, well, my 4-year-old last week got diagnosed with epilepsy.
Wow.
I was like, what? She goes, well, what is your book about? And I told her. This lady thought she saw a ghost. She's like, what? And so we talked, and I had to go in to get the cleaning, and then I'm talking with the dentist. We're talking, and I did the same thing. I'm like, she goes, oh, I saw you speaking with April. And I go, yeah, I have a book. She goes, oh, did she tell you about the epilepsy, her daughter? I go, yeah. I said, what? She goes, same thing. She goes, oh, well, what's your book about? And I told her. She goes, wow. She goes, yeah, my brother has epilepsy. I mean, I don't know if people know, but there's like almost 3.5 million people running around with it. And the thing is, and I was in that camp forever, is no one talks about it. When I put that first post up about my book, holy shit, I got texts nonstop from people I've known 20 years going, I didn't know that. And I was like, well, how would you? What, I gotta introduce myself. Hi, I'm Michael. I have epilepsy. It's like, how would you? And I said, you'd be amazed how many thousands of people are running around with it, and you have no idea.
Yeah. Well, so thank you for sharing your story. That's amazing. That's amazing.
You okay, Craig?
Well, no, I mean, there are these moments where you have conversations like this, you realize that in go-to-market, we're just playing a fucking video game.
It's true.
And there's like real life shit.
Yeah. Well, my goal is to speak at all these, as many tech conferences as I can, as being like the motive, because everybody in that audience is going through shit.
Yeah.
And I've had some people go, it's really not our audience. Our audience is more developers. And I'm thinking, you don't get it. Mine is about everybody in that audience to hear that I'm sure you're going through something. There's hope. I mean, look, you can get through it. And so if you guys have any ideas, of getting the ears of any other CMOs or CEOs at tech conferences, fireside chats, to look at it differently than I'm talking about recruiting or something. It's like, no, it's motivational. It's about overcoming things that you probably are going through that you think there's no way in hell you're ever going to be able to get over that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
All right. Well, that was amazing. So we'll chalk that one up as a completely new set of content, heartwarming and inspiring. And so thank you, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Well, man, thanks for the invite. And that was, like I said, I'm sure people in your audience are going through shit too, and they're probably going to sit back and just go, wow, I gotta, even on LinkedIn, people ping me and go, hey, can you talk? I'm like, of course. I mean, I had a man reach out to me from the Epilepsy Foundation. I mean, this is sad and hard. I mean, this was during Dreamforce, and I'm in the hotel this last September. I get a LinkedIn message, and he had shared with me that his 2 daughters were born, 2 twins born with epilepsy. One had died in her sleep when she was 10. The other was 14.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I know the story. So he says, would you mind speaking to my 14-year-old today? She's having a rough day.
Of course.
I'm like the go-to. He's coming to me for this? I'm like, of course. So he gives me his number. He and I chat. She comes on, and I'm just trying to be positive. He comes back on, and he's like almost crying. He goes, thank you. He goes, when the book comes out, can you please send her one autograph? And I'm like, yes. And I got off the call and was like, and I've been going through some weird emotional stuff because when I first got diagnosed with epilepsy in those 5 years, I went down some dark holes of why me, like what the fuck did I do to deserve this?
Sure, of course.
And so now I'm going through the why me is why am I one of the lucky people that had surgery and I'm seizure free? I've got reached out from hundreds of people who have had surgery and they still have seizures. It's like, you start doing that is like, wow, why am I? Why was I the lucky one? Why me? Yeah. So it's like, this whole year is going to be filled with that of people sharing stories and me just again, I'm trying to work with the Giants, Mayor ML, trying to do because it gets no love. It's
Sure.
Whoever was behind the whole cancer push with MasterCard, however they did that, they're brilliant, because for cancer, they stopped the All-Star game, and all the players come out and everybody holds up a card. They stopped Game 4 of the World Series. All the players, everybody holds up a card, and they do this whole thing about cancer. It's like, why? Why does cancer get all that? And other ones like epilepsy is everybody's quiet and no one talks about.
Yeah.
Well,
so that's my
good
goal.
that you're shedding some light on
Amazing.
it. Good that you're shedding some light on it.
Appreciate
All right,
this.
we love you, Mike. Thanks for being on the show,
Thanks,
man.
man.
Thanks, bro.
We love
Thanks,
it.
guys.
I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Transaction. Craig and I really appreciate the fact that you've listened all the way to the end. What are you actually doing here? For show notes and other episodes, please visit us at thetransactionpod.com. Like and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other place you get your podcast from. Either you have walked away from your podcast device, or this is playing somewhere in the background. Someone in your house would really like for you to shut this off now.